You're listening to The Stephen Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Tauriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, I got an article here from the Gateway Pundit, hat tip to Jim Hoft. Email reveals Hunter Biden was notified of official government call between Poroshenko and Joe Biden in a message sent to Robert L. Peters, and it proves the Bidens were secretly working family business deals together while Joe was VP. What amount of evidence is it going to take for us to start impeaching this guy? Like, do people realize that they impeached Donald Trump on a phone call where he released the transcripts so everyone could read the transcripts and nobody found anything bad in the transcripts? And here we are, we have a volcano of freaking evidence that is getting ready to erupt of Joe Biden. And we're sitting here debating whether we're going to impeach the guy or not. Are you serious? This guy should have been impeached 2 months ago. I mean, the level of corruption in this family is off the charts. And it does not take a genius. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to connect the dots here. Okay? And honestly, I think the left knows that Joe Biden's corrupt. There's no denying it. Everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows. You can talk to complete strangers, and the very first thing when you ask them about Joe Biden is, I don't know, I think he's corrupt. I mean, this even comes before the old and dementia part. People understand that Joe Biden's corrupt. He's always been corrupt. People have been reading about Joe Biden's corruption for years. And it was shocking to me how Democrats even put him on stage. I remember reading, I think it was a New York Times article, where Obama staffers were concerned about Hunter Biden and the conflict of interest with Joe Biden as vice president. And they wanted to distance themselves as far as they could from Hunter Biden because of his corruption, man. Not just his corruption, but his drug problems. Like, look, it is without a doubt that the Biden family is corrupt. So the very first thing that needs to happen is, and look, I get that they don't want to start impeachment right away. Okay, whatever. I certainly think that you could start impeachment right now. You wouldn't even need an inquiry. Start an impeachment right now. But if they need the time to connect the dots, the thing is here, folks, is the scandals are so complex. So complex. You got so many witnesses, bank accounts, bank records, SAW reports, witnesses. I mean, it's insane. You're talking about 20 years worth of corruption they're trying to wrap up in a big red bow and deliver it to people. I get how that's hard. And it seems like every time they turn over a rock, there's more freaking corruption that they got to look into. I think this is purposeful. People don't use 20, 30 different LLCs for any legitimate reason other than to hide and conceal money. That is it. And these are just the banks we know about. Imagine offshore accounts. Mind you, the reason why they even have these records is because banks, world national banks, were sending in SARS reports to the Treasury because anytime there's a red flag on a transaction from whether it's from foreign countries, the amount of money it is, whatever it is, a SAR report only becomes a report whenever the bank sees something suspicious. So they flag it. And any SAR report has to go to the Treasury. And you ask and you read into how common are SAR reports, and a business, a massive corporation, one corporation, I'm not talking about 20, 30 different LLCs, I'm not talking about shell companies, one corporation may get one or two in a 10-year span. Folks, there was 150 flags on the Biden family's accounts, on these shell companies. 150? SAR reports? No, come on, man.
I'm not being facetious now. I'm being deadly earnest.
Look, I think this is way, way bigger than what people think. I think it's way bigger because I heard something pretty interesting from Nancy Mace the other day. Here, check this out.
I hope that we are. We're not allowed to share the suspicious activity reports, but I've seen suspicious activity reports that make me believe the amount of money that the Biden's family was paid off is north of $50 million. And it's not just Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, James Biden, his brother. There are grandchildren that receive money from communist China, for example. I mean, we've seen it, but we also, since we're not allowed to show those reports because they're confidential, we then now have to connect the dots and show bank records. We have to have testimony from eyewitnesses. So it's an amount, I believe the evidence will come forward, but it doesn't happen overnight. And I don't want this to be seen as tit for tat. I want us to be deliberative. I want us to be thoughtful. And I want us to show the American people the truth. Don't trust us, but trust the evidence that will, I believe, come forward.
Okay. I'm totally on board with that. But folks, did you hear that? $50 million? I mean, first it started out with $5 million. Then it went to 2 payments of $5 million, which turned it into $10 million from the FD 1023 form from the FBI, from that confidential human source, the informant, which is a federal document essentially saying, yeah, these people took bribes from foreign leaders. So I don't know what else more evidence you need than that, but okay, we'll get more. So it started out with 10, and then it went to 20, and then it went to 30. And now Nancy Mace is saying after they looked at the records of the Treasury with these new bank records they got, mind you folks, all these records came from one bank. We're talking about, I mean, these banks, I don't know. You had 20, 30 different LLCs. How many different banks did they have? I don't know. But $50 million going to grandkids and various different folks. Why is a kid getting money from China? Seriously, think about that. Like, the level of corruption in this family is incredible. How these people have gotten away with this for this long is astonishing. And in fact, what blows my mind is how Donald Trump and these 19 other Republicans, these brave people that are being railroaded and persecuted illegally, unconstitutionally, having their rights violated, are being charged with RICO laws when it's actually a Biden family that should be charged with RICO laws and all these prosecutors and district attorneys that should be charged with RICO laws. I've been saying this for years. Everything the Democrats accuse their opponents of doing, they themselves are guilty of. So this is no different. If anytime the Democrats accuse somebody of doing something, that means they themselves have done it. I've been using that method for a long time now, and I'm right every single time. Every single time. There are no circumstances where that is not true. But folks, why $50 million? And this got me thinking. $50 million is a lot of money. 10, 20, that's a lot. To me and you, it's a lot, but to these corrupt bastards, maybe not. But 50 million? I mean, look, how many mansions does Joe Biden have? 2? Is it 2 or 3 now? I know he used to have 4. I think he sold one. Anyways, Peter Doocy asked Karine Jean-Pierre about this property right here. And the American people want to know, like, who's paying for all the security and Secret Service for Hunter Biden? Here, check this out.
Something else. The Secret Service is paying $16,000 a month now to stage near Hunter Biden in Malibu. Who's paying for that?
That's a question for the Secret Service.
Okay. Hunter Biden is reportedly selling art to pay for his $15,800 a month rent in Malibu. How can you guarantee that people are not going to be buying this art to gain favor with the president?
That is a question for Hunter Biden and his representatives.
It's a
I know. I hear.
At the White House, we know that one of the art
question.
buyers got a job from the Biden administration. Can you guarantee that there is no quid pro quo?
I hear your question. I'm not going to get involved in this. That is a question for
Why?
Hunter Biden's representatives.
But we know that from a Hunter Biden associate now that he's sold the appearance of access to then Vice President Biden. Are you confident that he has stopped doing that?
That is a question for Hunter Biden.
If somebody is selling the appearance of access to the White House, that is a question for the White House.
No, that is your I don't know how you're perceiving that.
Sworn testimony by Devin Archer. He said,
I am just not, Peter. I'm just not going to get into this. I'm just not.
So, this testimony, since the last time that I was in here, Devin Archer talks about how he and Hunter Biden tried to profit off the Biden brand. What is the Biden brand?
I'm not going to get into it from here.
My God, folks, we got a big, big corruption problem, and we have an even bigger cover-up problem. Our government, this administrative state, this totalitarian regime that we're watching unfold in our country right now is so far off from what the founders, from what the framers had in mind for this country, it's not even funny. Why is that not a question for the White House? And why is Peter Doocy the only person asking these questions when you got a room full of news anchors? A room full of reporters, and only one reporter is asking, yo, Hunter Biden is selling artwork. And somebody that just so happened to buy a piece of his artwork now has a job in a high-level position in the government. Nobody sees any problem with that? What the hell is going on here? Why is Hunter Biden selling artwork for thousands and thousands of dollars? He has Secret Service protection in a house, a rental property he's staying at, and they're paying $16,000. We are paying $16,000 a month for the Secret Service to stay in Malibu next to Hunter Biden as he's living in like a $60,000 a month rental property in Malibu. Why is the media not reporting on this? This family is off the charts corrupt. Off the charts. And here it is, they want us to focus on Donald Trump. They want us to focus on Trump indictments. This is exactly why they're indicting him. They're not indicting him because it's justice. It's not. They're indicting him to stymie his campaign, to interfere in our election, and to cover up for the Biden corruption using the media. The media doesn't have to ask any questions about the Biden corruption when all they talk about is Donald Trump and the indictments. This is what is happening in your nation's capital right now. It is sick. These people are sick. This is disgusting. It's out of control, man. Out of control. And so I want to get into this article about these aliases, these fake emails that Joe Biden was using, and Hunter Biden was CC'd in them. So get that. Official government emails. I mean, forget about Joe Biden using fake names already. That's already, weird enough. Why is the vice president using fake names to conduct business through government emails? And number two, why is his son, Hunter Biden, CC'd in these emails? Folks, I cannot tell you how corrupt this looks. Everybody knows this is corruption. Everybody. The only people that are not yelling corruption are the Democrats. This is in and out corruption. I don't care who you are. If this was Donald Trump, I would be freaking outraged. They're just the same. Nobody should be this corrupt in our government. We should not allow this type of behavior in our government. I don't care who it is. But unfortunately, this is the type of behavior we've been having in our government for decades. And it's not right, man. So on May 26, 2016, Hunter Biden was included in an email regarding Joe Biden's upcoming call with Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. The call was scheduled for 9 a.m. on May 27th with an 8:45 advanced prep. Joe Biden has repeatedly denied he had any involvement with Hunter Biden's business deals. And yet here we have proof, let me repeat that, here we have proof that Hunter and Joe Biden were included on the same email about an upcoming phone call with the Ukrainian president. Folks, why is Hunter Biden on an email CC'd with the vice president who's using fake email addresses on a government server? Why? What the hell is going on here? Why does Hunter Biden need to be included on an email when Joe Biden is getting ready to talk to a Ukrainian president? Oh my God, man. So House Oversight Committee Chairman previously reported on 2 emails sent from Biden aide John Flynn to then Vice President Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden, on May 27, 2016 and June 15, 2016. Notice this is a year after Joe Biden leaves office. That's not obvious? This email released today by the Gateway Pundit is from May 26, 2016, and was sent to Joe Biden's secret email account. Yes, secret email account. This is where he was using aliases, pseudonyms, instead of Joe Biden. He was using Robert L. Peters. And this was just one of 3 fake aliases. The email was sent to Joe Biden's secret account where he used the pseudonym Robert L. Peters. And I have the email right here. It's a typical email from XR Vision, Situational Awareness, and Actionable Intelligence. They got something redacted here. It looks like John Flynn's email is redacted here. So the email says, from John Flynn. The subject is Friday schedule card. The date, May 26, 2016 at 10:08 p.m. The email is going to Robert L. Peters at pci.gov. So this is a government website. This is a government email. Robert L. Peters. And then this is what's really going to blow your mind. CC Hunter Biden at rosemontseneca.com. What the hell is going on here? Why is Hunter Biden CC'd in this very bizarre email where Joe Biden is using an alias and sending and receiving emails as Robert L. Peters? Nobody thinks this is corrupt? This is just perfectly fine, right? This is just normal behavior from the former VP a year after he gets out of office with a scheduled phone call to the Ukrainian president that his son, Hunter Biden, happens to be CC'd in. Come on, man. So the call took place on May 27th with Joe Biden. The readout to the official government call on May 27, 2016 was published on the Barack Obama White House website. And this is what and I got it right here. This is what the website says. So this is May 27, 2016, the readout of Vice President Biden's call with President Petro Poroshenko of Ukraine. Vice President Biden spoke today with President Poroshenko of Ukraine. The vice president congratulated President Poroshenko on the release of Ukrainian pilot and Rada member Nadia Shavenko and called for the release of all Ukrainians unlawfully detained in Russia. The leaders discussed the importance of continuing to institute reforms in the office of the Prosecutor General and the significance of Ukraine's progress toward implementing judicial reforms and meeting IMF conditions. The leaders condemned the increasing attacks by combined Russian separatist forces in eastern Ukraine and reaffirmed the need to continue moving forward on Minsk implementation. They also condemned Russia's prosecution of Crimean Tatars. Folks, why is Hunter Biden CC'd on this email? It doesn't make sense. Why is Hunter Biden involved with any kind of phone calls to Ukrainian President Poroshenko? I think we all know. When is the left going to get a grip here? I mean, what other evidence do you need, man? Like, they got photos. They got videos. They got audio. They got eyewitnesses. They got testimony from former business partners. They got bank records. They got documents. They got receipts. They got a laptop. They got everything one would need to prosecute somebody for a crime. And what pisses me off, as all these judges and all these district attorneys on these corrupt, crooked persecutions of Donald Trump and fellow Americans and fellow Republicans, while David Weiss allowed the statute of limitations to pass on all the investigations of Hunter Biden into this stuff, into this corrupt stuff. What is statute of limitations? How many years is it, folks? We all know this. What is it? 5, 6, 7 years? 7 years. What's the date? This all happened in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And what date was it? This was in May. So 4 months ago. 4 months ago, the statute of limitations passed. So Hunter Biden can't be charged with any of this. None of it. Because David Weiss and these corrupt people, this corrupt establishment swamp, allowed the statute of limitations to pass. This corrupt district attorney, this corrupt attorney general, allowed the statute of limitations to pass on this. Why do you think they did that? To protect Joe Biden, of course. We already know that. That's what the IRS whistleblower said. That's the reason why they blew the whistle, was because they were not allowed to properly investigate this situation. They were not allowed to investigate Hunter Biden not paying taxes on millions of dollars. Why were they not allowed to investigate? Because they would have to look at emails that involved Joe Biden, the vice president, well, at this time, somebody that they planned on running for president. I honestly think Joe Biden did not plan on running for president until the DNC came to him and essentially forced him, probably around 2017, 2018. I think Joe Biden was trying to suck up as much cash and as much money as he could and just enjoy the rest of his life. And so now Joe Biden's going to get impeached, and he should. Anybody that's sitting there telling you that they should not impeach Joe Biden for this level of corruption is out of their freaking mind. I don't care if it looks tit for tat. It's the right thing to do. I wasn't really sure in the beginning whether they should impeach Joe Biden because I wanted the American people to pick and choose. But not impeaching this, not prosecuting this, and not charging this as a crime, not treating this for what it is, which is a giant scandal where millions and millions of dollars was being laundered between shell companies and the former vice president and his son, that's just not right. That is not right. That has to be done. You have to prosecute this. You have to investigate this. But what pisses me off is all these DAs and these judges are trying to rush these cases with Donald Trump, his trials. They want to rush these trials through, the most complex, most consequential trials in U.S. history, and they want them done in 3 months. But yet they let the statute of limitations pass on Hunter Biden. This should infuriate people. Infuriate. Because I know it does me. The level of corruption that we are watching in this corrupt DC swamp, this uniparty establishment, shadow government, deep state, whatever you want to call it. This place is corrupt. It is corrupt, man. It is rotten to the core. And it needs to be drained. It needs to be flushed. It is a sewer of bureaucrats. A sewer. When you allow this type of stuff to happen, and what pisses me off, what's going to piss you off even more is that Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed David Weiss, the same guy that allowed the statute of limitations to pass on Hunter Biden, appointed him as a special counsel into Hunter Biden. This stuff is so corrupt, man. So corrupt. We have not seen this level of corruption in this country ever. Ever. There has not been a scandal this big ever. I don't compare it to Watergate. This is way worse than Watergate. The cover-up, the crime, the whole thing is worse than Watergate. It is the biggest scandal of United States history. The level of corruption in the Biden family is off the charts. Folks, $50 million? That is like a level of money that it's just insane. There's no way that this family has $50 million. I think somebody else is involved. I think this is a bigger, because of the amount of money, and she says up northwards of $50 million. So what are we talking about here? $100 million? $200 million? Exactly how much money was involved in the Biden scandals? Because already we're seeing northwards of $50 million. This has to be a bigger scandal than what it is. There has to be more players involved. I mean, minus the Biden family, the grandkids getting money from China, Hunter Biden getting money from Ukrainian presidents and Romania and China and Russia. Like, listen, I think there's more players involved. I think the reason why they are trying so hard, not just to protect Joe Biden because he's running for president, but because I think Barack Obama is involved in this. I do. I think Barack Obama took a piece of the pie from this, and this is why Barack Obama is pushing so hard to have Donald Trump removed from the ballot. It's nobody else but Barack Obama. I'm sorry. A lot of conservative people out there saying that they don't know who's pulling all the strings. This is a third term of Barack Obama. Barack Obama is behind all of this. He's the only president to ever stay in Washington, D.C. after leaving office. I mean, for the Democrats to sit there and say that there's no evidence is such a lie. These people are liars, man. They are liars. They do not value truth. They don't seek truth. They only seek a narrative. It is nothing about corruption. Could you imagine if they have found this level of corruption with any of the Trump people? With anybody, even surrounding Donald Trump? I don't care who it is. Look what they did to Michael Cohen. What, with FARA violations? Is Hunter Biden going to get charged with FARA violations? No. Why not? Because David Weiss and Merrick Garland and this corrupt bureaucracy we got allowed the statute of limitations to pass. They stalled just long enough for the statute of limitations to pass 4 months ago. 4 months ago, the statute of limitations passed, and so now none of this stuff, none of it, Hunter Biden can't be charged with any of it. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if you can charge somebody after the statute of limitations has passed. I have no idea. But this certainly seems like a RICO case, does it not? Kind of weird how the Democrats are charging Donald Trump and 19 Republicans on a RICO case. See, folks, I told you, everything that these people accuse their opponents of doing, they themselves are doing. I don't know, there is a list a mile long of all the examples of Democrats accusing their opponents of doing something, and they are the ones actually doing it that we find out 2 years later. Hillary Clinton colluding with Russia for a fake dossier, spying on campaigns, weaponizing the justice system against political opponents. Remember, they were accusing Donald Trump. And this is what pisses me off the most. All this corruption with Ukraine, Donald Trump was trying to get to the bottom of. This is what he got impeached for. They impeached Donald Trump for trying to get to the bottom of all this Ukrainian corruption. Is that not sick? That is sick. They got to expunge that impeachment. Because, I mean, at this point, how can they impeach Donald Trump for asking questions about corruption we now know is true? He had every single right to dig into the Ukrainian corruption involving the Bidens. Every single right. But these people, the moment, Alexander Vindman, all these people that were involved in the impeachment of Donald Trump need to be investigated and need to come into court and testify. All these people need charged. Every single one of these people need indicted. With RICO, this is one giant conspiracy to influence our elections. That's what this is. We need a gigantic RICO case. Huge. The biggest in history. Where all these people that colluded in the FBI and the upper echelons of the White House aides, staffers, the National Archives, the DOJ, all these people need to be charged with RICO. One giant RICO case for a coordinated effort to subvert democracy and to try and overthrow a duly elected president. The Democrats are sick. They need to be defeated. They must be defeated. Must. If they are not going to start charging Democrats for crimes, if they are not going to impeach Joe Biden, then all hope is lost. If we do not have a Republican Party that does not understand what time it is, then all is lost, folks. These people have no freaking idea. The only thing I can think of, the only possible explanation I could think of is that the Republicans they're in on it. We already know Mitch McConnell's corrupt. That guy's been corrupt for decades, and he needs to be indicted. He needs to be impeached. Bring his ass in here. And most of all, the very next person that they need to bring they need to subpoena is Barack Obama. How can all this corruption, all of it, or how can all of this Biden corruption happen on Barack Obama's watch and him not have to answer any questions for it? Any. No subpoenas for Barack Obama. No conversations. No nothing. Bring his ass in there and start questioning him. I want to know what he knows. And you could forget about executive privilege because a judge removed that for Donald Trump. So certainly he can remove it for Barack Obama, right? These are the games that we're playing now. These are the standards Democrats set. So a judge can secretly remove executive privilege from Donald Trump. Let's see if he removes executive privilege from Barack Obama. I don't know. Why not? We don't have a two-tier justice system in this country now, do we? Of course we do. And everybody knows it. Folks, you know my answer. You know what the answer is. We must defeat the Democrats in 2024. If you want to get your country back, we have to defeat the Democrats. These people are gone. The Democrats are gone. They are not coming back down to earth anytime soon. The only way we're going to stop this, the only way we are going to save our country from a totalitarian regime, a dystopian nightmare, is by defeating the Democrats in 2024. That is if they do not have the elections rigged already. I know it seems depressing. Look, they're doing all this because it's supposed to be depressing. The Democrat Party is in a giant operation to influence our election. This is one giant coordinated effort to interfere in the 2024 election. All these indictments through these blue state DAs, these judges, like this Chokin judge, who's trying to give Donald Trump's defense team 3 months. 3 months, folks, for the most consequential, complex case that this country's ever seen. You're talking about indicting somebody's free speech and their thoughts. And you want to give them 3 to 4 months? These people are nuts. They are sick. They are broken. And you got Republicans trying to use Clause 3 of the 14th Amendment to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. Do they not realize what kind of damage that's going to do to this country when you can just accuse somebody of doing something and remove him from a ballot? Mind you, somebody that just got 75 million votes and probably has, 81, he's probably looking at more votes than he did last time. I don't see why not. I mean, it's an upward trend, is it not? You went from 64 to 75? Why wouldn't it be 85? Why wouldn't it be 90 million? And they're going to remove him from the ballot? I mean, how are people going to vote? That is like a nail. That is a stake into the heart of democracy. Like, these people are sitting here calling themselves the defenders of democracy as they're actively and knowingly destroying our democracy. It's like we're living in bizarro world, that these people can't see this. They can't see it because they're too blinded by their own hatred. Their hatred for Donald Trump. That is why we're going through this. And so I say impeachment all the way. All the way. Screw it, man. Screw it. Bring Obama's ass in there on subpoena and start asking him questions. I think we need testimony from him. Look, it's only fair, folks. It's only appropriate. There's no way imagine this. Imagine if the roles were reversed. You don't think they'd be bringing Donald Trump's ass in on subpoena to question him? If Mike Pence's kids had this level of corruption, if Donald Trump's vice president, Mike Pence, had this level of corruption, you don't think they'd be questioning Donald Trump? Hell yeah, they would. They would probably try and indict him because of Mike Pence's corruption. That is what I'm saying. Just reverse the roles. Of course we have a two-tier justice system. Of course there's a double standard. But we're not even in real world anymore, where these people actually care about 2 tiers, 3 tiers, 4 tiers, or double standard or no standard. There is only one standard, their standard, and they're making it up as they go. They're influencing our elections. They're trying to remove somebody from a ballot, but only in certain states. Like, that's not going to do any damage. Like, that should unite the country, huh? It's lunacy, folks. It is lunacy. If Joe Biden wins a 2024 election, how many people do you think are going to call that election legit? If they remove Donald Trump from the ballot and people are not able to vote for him, how many people do you think are going to believe in democracy? Sure, the Democrats will say that they believe in democracy. They'll say it's the most fairest election that ever happened in the United States. These people are sick, they are broken, they are gone, and they're not coming back. It is time people pull their heads out of their ass and start figuring some stuff out. Speaking of the shadow government, this corrupt establishment that we have in our nation's capital, I got an article here from the Associated Press. Conservative groups draw up plan to dismantle the U.S. government and replace it with Trump's vision. I laughed at this, man. I laughed so hard. These people have no clue. They think this is Trump's vision. They think Republicans are following Trump like he's some kind of god. These people have no clue what is going on. They think that if they just remove Donald Trump from the equation, people are just going to be perfectly fine with what everything else is going on here. If we just take Donald Trump out of the equation, then we'll go back to some sense of normalcy, right? These people are so lost. They are gone, folks. They are gone. And so I found this article actually pretty relieving because, it's actually pretty accurate. At least they know what we want. This is not Donald Trump's vision. This is the framers' vision. This is our vision. This is America's vision. A small government is exactly what the framers intended. They did not want no massive government bureaucracy where the FBI, the federal police with guns and badges, has a building, a headquarters bigger than the Pentagon. What do you think the framers would think of that? Probably not very much. What do you think the framers would think of a massive 87,000 hiring spree of IRS agents? They probably wouldn't like that either. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 million employees just in the government bureaucracy. 2 million just in the background. I'm not talking about military. I'm not talking about anything else, but just the bureaucrats in our nation's capital. 2 million employees. The government's the only thing consistently growing for the last 80 years. And it's been growing on records pace the last 10 years. Hell, the last 4 years. They just hired 87,000 IRS agents. The FBI wanted a building bigger than the Pentagon with a $20 billion budget? No. Folks, nothing the government touches gets better. Everything the government touches, it destroys. The government cannot create prosperity. It cannot. They have sold these people a falsehood. They have sold these people a pipe dream. These people on the left, the Democrats, they worship government. They don't believe in God, so they worship government. People that don't believe in God, it's not that they don't believe in nothing, it's that they'll believe in anything. G.K. Chesterton. So these people worship government. This is why they want universal basic income. This is why they want the government to have oversight over everybody. A social credit score system like China. They want a totalitarian regime. That is what they want. And they're getting it because we are certainly on our way. If Democrats win in 2024, it's over. This thing called America, the American idea, the American experiment is over. So I want to go through what the Associated Press says that Republicans want if we win 2024. So with more than a year to go before the 2024 election, a constellation of conservative organizations is preparing for a possible second White House term for Donald Trump, recruiting thousands of Americans to come to Washington on a mission to dismantle the federal government and replace it with a vision closer to his own. Led by the long-established Heritage Foundation think tank and fueled by former Trump administration officials, the far-reaching effort is essentially a government in waiting for the former president's return, or any candidate who aligns with their ideas and can defeat President Joe Biden in 2024. With a nearly 1,000-page Project 2025 handbook and an army of Americans, the idea is to have the civic infrastructure in place on day one to commandeer, reshape, and do away with what Republicans deride as the deep state bureaucracy, in part of firing as many 50,000 federal workers. Quote, "We need to flood the zones with conservatives," said Paul Dans, director of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project and a former Trump administration official who speaks with historical flourish about the undertaking. Quote, "This is a clarion call to come to Washington," he said. "People need to lay down their tools and step aside from their professional life and say, this is my lifetime moment to serve." I love this. I don't know what's wrong with this. I think this is great. So essentially, what they're saying, and I think the Associated Press just nailed it. Absolutely. I don't think there's one Republican that would disagree that we need to drain the swamp. We need to cut the government in half. And this is that Project 2025 I was telling you about, where they're accepting applications right now. Right now, they're accepting applications. They will provide training. They will provide insight to how the operations of the inner workings of our federal government. And they are taking normal Americans, not bureaucrats, not politicians, not government employees that have been in the deep state sitting at a desk for 20 years. They're taking normal Americans that have something to offer, that want to contribute something to their country. That is going to be who they hire to run this country. I can't think of anything better than that. I think that's exactly what we need. I'm not saying, unexperienced young kids running the country. I'm saying anybody out there that has experience in certain types of fields and whichever spot they need to fill, that's who you get on board. Enough of this hiring bureaucrats. Enough of these people staying in every single administration for the past 10 administrations. Like, some of these bureaucrats have been in the background pulling strings for like 5 or 6 presidential administrations. Like, seriously? Like, what the hell are they doing? This is the type of stuff they do. They weaponize justice. They spy on campaigns. They arrest political opponents. They drum up crap bills like the Inflation Reduction Act. They do all the corrupt stuff that we've been watching unfold in our government for the last 50, 60 years. Probably even longer. The government bureaucratic swamp. This fourth branch of government, the shadow government that's been created, that's been growing astronomically for the last 60 years. Those are who need to go. The politicians can get voted out. And in fact, they don't even do anything, folks. The politicians, they don't even work. They're on vacation right now. They had a month vacation, like a freaking kindergartner. They had summer break. These people don't even work. The politicians don't even work. It's the bureaucrats in the background. People like Alexander Vindman. The guy that testified against Donald Trump because Donald Trump didn't say what he wanted on a phone call. That's what that was about. Alexander Vindman wrote down a piece of paper of a conversation and talking points that he wanted Donald Trump to say to Zelensky. Donald Trump didn't use it, and so the guy got pissed. Dude, you're not the president of the United States, bro. You want to be the president? You want to talk to Zelensky as the president? Run for president. You don't run stuff around here. The president does. The problem with the Donald Trump administration in 2016 was his cabinet picks, was the people he surrounded himself by. We all know that. Everybody can agree that Donald Trump surrounded himself with people that just were not the right people. And they stabbed him in the back, they stymied his administration, and they tried impeaching him, like Alexander Vindman and all the other people that were involved in that charade. And all he was trying to do was get to the bottom of Joe Biden's family corruption. So they impeached him for asking questions about the corruption we now know was accurate. Donald Trump was right on everything. He was right about him getting money from China. He was right about him getting money from Moscow, the mayor of Moscow. He was right about them getting money from Ukraine, Romania. And then so the president, the commander-in-chief, is trying to get to the bottom of corruption that maybe taxpayers are paying for, and he gets impeached? This is why he needs to find all new people to go in there with him. Enough of this stuff, man. Going in, getting stabbed in the back, people stymieing your administration, trying to stonewall every single thing you try to do. Imagine that. Think of how much stuff Donald Trump got done in the 4 years, and think about him getting stonewalled in everything. Everybody was trying to stab him in the back. So now imagine if he had a coalition of people around him that wanted the same things as everybody else. Imagine that. It would be a beautiful thing. And it's only for 4 years. This is what I don't get. Like, why are the leftists so adamant about keeping Donald Trump out of office? Dude, you got cheap gas, you got peace around the world, you got a kick-ass economy, you got the best years this country has seen in decades. And then, like, you're afraid he's going to get elected again? Ooh, no. You're afraid. What are you afraid of? Cheap gas? You afraid of peace breaking out in the Middle East? These people are so morally lost. They are lost, folks. They don't care about anything but their team. They choose party over country, like good little totalitarians. And this is why we need to defeat the Democrats in 2024. Picture this. Donald Trump winning, and then you have thousands of regular Americans that have not been in politics, that have not been in Washington, D.C., but have a lot to offer this country, going in with him and helping him run this country and get it back on track. I cannot think of anything freaking better. I think that is the best idea. I've been saying it for years. We need just regular Americans. We got to drain the bureaucrats out of this government. They are destroying this place, destroying it. Look at the damage these people have caused this country the last 40 years. Look at it. Absolutely wrecked this place because it's not about the American people anymore. Everything in our government bureaucracy is self-interest. What board seats you're going to get at Boeing or what board seats you're going to get at Raytheon. Everybody's chasing the almighty dollar. Folks, we're spending trillions and trillions of dollars, and we don't even know where it's going. We have students, kids, that can't even read basic reading. They can't even pass basic math. And we're spending trillions of dollars in this country. We should have streets paved with gold. We should have technological advances that are blowing people out of the water. But yet we have nothing. Where's all this money going? Where's all the hundreds of billions going to Ukraine? Where's that going? It's going in all these bureaucrats' pockets. It's one giant freaking scam. It's one giant corrupt swamp where people go in to get rich and powerful and not to better the country. The American people and the health and safety and security of this country are the last thing on that list. These bureaucrats stay in the administration for their connections, using their security clearances to bag money. Look at all these government employees, these bureaucrats. They're multimillionaires. Multimillionaires. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at the politicians themselves. They go in broke and come out millionaires. What does that tell you? It's corrupt, man. The whole damn thing is corrupt. I'll be damned if I'm going to be paying $4 a gallon of gas just to struggle getting to work. And I'm paying for Christopher Wray's private jet to fly on vacation to his family cabin in the woods. Like, what? Seriously? Or $16,000 a month for the Secret Service to protect Hunter Biden in Malibu, Joe Biden's son, while this guy's selling art paintings? Art paintings. He sold a painting to some... People are buying Hunter Biden's paintings because it's crooked. It's a corrupt system that they have. It's a way for them to launder money in broad daylight. Folks, he's not selling paintings because people want them. One of his paintings sold for $50,000, and the person that bought that painting got a high-level job in our government, in the bureaucracy. This is the kind of stuff that's happening in our country. And so Project 2025, I think, is a great idea. Great idea. And I love how the Associated Press is saying it like it's some bad thing. So scary, you're going to get cheap gas. No. You're going to get peace in the Middle East. No. No new wars. No. Like that, like that meme, that famous leftist meme when Hillary Clinton lost. You guys know it. I know we've seen it 100 times. It is the epitome of a leftist, where they just drop on their knees and just scream into the air, rage that Donald Trump won. You guys remember it? It's that, I don't know if it's a dude or a chick. I never did figure that out. I wonder if that person gets royalties for that. That is like the most. It is probably one of the most looked at political pictures that I can even think of. Think of how many times that picture has been used with that leftist screaming into the air crying. Like, who is that, for one? I'm actually going to look that up, and we'll talk about it on the next show, because I'm curious to see who that was. That, man, these people are lost. They are gone, folks. If you think shrinking the government is a bad idea, then I'm sorry, but you're lost. If you want to vote to continue this disaster we're dealing with right now, then you are gone. You are gone. There is no hope. Lost. Forever. Hopefully not, but, I mean, look, there's nobody sitting here saying, yeah, the economy's great. Joe Biden's doing a great job. No honest person is saying that. The only people saying that are radical Trump-deranged leftists that would rather watch this country burn than see Donald Trump in the White House, giving the American people cheap gas and peace around the world, increasing the American people's wages, cutting the American people's taxes, doing all the stuff that he did for the 4 years he did have, albeit a really rough 4 years because he kept getting stabbed in the back every time he turned around. But it's exactly what needs to happen. I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, this Project 2025 is excellent. Absolutely excellent. And I meant to read this earlier. So I got an article here from the Washington Examiner, and it's called Restoring America. It's an opinion piece by James Bacon, and it essentially just describes what Project 2025 is. And the title of it's Dislodging the Real Threat to Democracy, the Administrative State. So the administrative state is starting to panic. Its bureaucrats thrive on remaining in the shadows. But in the last year, they've had a massive spotlight shown on them. Several presidential candidates have pledged to dismantle the deep state, and the conservative movement's Project 2025, a plan to gut the bureaucracy by making it easier to fire federal employees, could make their dreams a reality. Consider the alarm bell recently sounded by one of the administrative state's top bosses, National Treasury Employees Union President Tony Reardon. In an opinion piece published by The Hill, Reardon warned that the greatest challenge facing the federal workforce is the accelerating conspiracy to dismantle the merit-based civil service. Reardon is referring to the 2 million federal employees who are protected from being fired. Far from being merit-based, this workforce contains the worst of both worlds, a small, left-wing expert class at the top, the deep state, and masses of unproductive, non-essential, unionized employees beneath them, what might be called the DMV state, after those who staff state motor vehicle offices. Reardon wants us to think this system is as American as apple pie, referring to the Pendleton Act of 1883. He lauds our 140-year-old legal tradition of staffing federal agencies with nonpartisan career professionals. What he doesn't mention is that under the original act, just 10% of the bureaucracy was giving civil service protections. Today, of the 2 million full-time federal employees, all but 4,000 enjoy some form of civil service protection. That means 99.8% of federal employees cannot be fired by their boss, the commander-in-chief. To dispel the notion that this sprawling bureaucracy is a problem, Reardon defends them by making contradictory arguments. First, he insists that claims of bureaucrats thwarting the will of the president are unfounded. Second, he maintains that unelected bureaucrats are necessary to check on presidential power. This is the problem. This guy Reardon is exactly the problem. He wants federal employees not to be fired. So what happens when those employees don't represent the American people anymore? What happens when those radical left-wing employees start stabbing the president in the back and trying to get him impeached? You can't fire him. These people need to be fired. We need a merit-based system in our government, because this is exactly what happens when you have no ability to fire employees. They essentially do whatever the hell they want, and that is exactly what we're watching right now. These people are the worst. They are the worst. We got to get rid of them. We have to. To prove that bureaucrat insubordination isn't an issue, Reardon cites the 4,000 political appointments the president makes as providing ample levers of which to implement the president's agenda. That is right. In theory, under the law, the presidential appointees at the top are supposed to control the levers while the civil servants act as natural cogs in the machinery. However, in practice, an expert class of bureaucrats at the top control the true levers of power, while the president's men have been relegated to a ceremonial role. There are about 50,000 of these elite career bureaucrats who perform the function of political appointees while retaining their civil service protections. The ever-expanding web of rules and regulations that govern federal agencies has become so complicated that in many cases only these experts know how to navigate it. Because of this, the president's political appointees have to rely on them to get anything done. They are able to hide the ball, misrepresent the facts, and slow-walk the president's policies until they die a bureaucratic death. Yep, this is exactly what we're watching unfold in our country right now. All this bureaucratic swampiness, all this mess created by these bureaucrats is all coming to a head. What we're witnessing right now, the destruction of our country, the destruction of our rights, our liberties, our freedoms, the destruction of our wallets, the destruction of our income, all of it is caused by these bureaucrats in the deep state that have been in there president after president after president. And just like it said, they know the rules and regulations, so therefore they can do whatever they want because the rules and regulations are so complicated, they're the only ones that know the rules and regulations. And so this is why you had Donald Trump. This is exactly why you have Donald Trump being persecuted right now by places like the National Archives that criminalized Donald Trump for having his Presidential Records Act, but yet you're stymieing FOIA requests to get emails of Joe Biden using a fake alias in emails where his son, his corrupt son, was CC'd in, that was part of the emails. I mean, my God, man. If this is not a clear and obvious reason why we have to get rid of the bureaucrats in our government, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. It's not enough. We cannot try and convince the Democrats anymore. We cannot try to convince the left. It is a lost cause. We need to take it to them in 2024, and we need to get this country back, or we're not going to have anything left. Our country is being ran by bureaucrats, unelected officials, pulling strings in the background in this fourth branch shadow government that they created for themselves, and the American people are the last people they think about. They do everything for their own self-interest. And this is why you have people going in broke and coming out millionaires. People like Dr. Fauci, who stays in the bureaucratic swamp for 50 years and comes out a multi-millionaire. Who ever heard of Dr. Fauci before this pandemic? I didn't. But apparently the guy has been in multiple presidencies. He's been in there for decades, and he's worth millions of dollars. And what did he do? Nothing. Nobody knows, but he sure in the hell had a whole lot of power, didn't he? He got a mask on your face. He got a shot in your arm, didn't he? This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly why Democrats must be defeated in 2024. And this Project 2025, I like this. I like this. And I'm going to read more into this. We're going to be talking about it on the next show. Because I like this. I'm going to read more into it. I'm going to study it. There's a lot. You got to think this Project 2025 is essentially pulling Americans, regular Americans, into government roles for 4 years. And once they're done, they leave. Exactly how the founders intended this country to be. The founders, the framers of our government, did not want this big, massive, bloated, wasteful entity that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger with just people that are in there forever and can't be removed or fired. What they wanted was people to come in, contribute what they had to offer this country, whether it's business, whether it's financing, whether it's whatever it is, whatever Americans think they're good at, whatever they think they can accomplish while they're in there, go. Do to 4 to 8 years and then leave. This is why it was so upsetting they didn't get term limits passed. But I'm not talking about the politicians. They could be voted out. It's the bureaucrats that are the real powerful ones. The bureaucrats need to go. They got to go. And this Project 2025, Donald Trump's administration said the very first thing he's doing is he's firing 50,000 federal bureaucrats. Gone. And look, I can't think of anything better because that is exactly what's wrong with this country today. These are the same people that are covering up for Joe Biden's corruption and persecuting and influencing it in our election by persecuting Donald Trump. These are the exact type of people, the bureaucrats, the swamp, the fourth branch of government, shadow government, uniparty, whatever you want to call it. These people are actively covering up for the Biden's corruption and then trying to persecute Donald Trump in order to influence the election because they're scared of losing their jobs. The bureaucrats are sweating. They are sweating. They are panicked and they are scared, man. They are really, really scared. They're panicked. They see what's coming. And me and you and whoever else you know needs to go vote to make sure that happens. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, we get our country back in 2024. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be working on an episode right after this. I got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I wanted to talk about this Gadsden flag situation. I got some audio of a kid whose teacher called the mom in to have the kid, he can't have a Gadsden flag patch on his backpack in school. So I got some audio for that we're going to be talking about. I think it's ridiculous. We're going to go over exactly what the Gadsden flag is and its origins and all that good stuff. Also, I want to get into totalitarianism. I've done it before, but I really feel like I didn't hit it home. So I'm going to try again. I did a lot of research on exactly what totalitarianism is and some examples of how we're watching the rise of totalitarianism right now in the United States of America. Yeah, that's right. We are watching the rise of a totalitarian nation happening right now in our moment. These are our days, ladies and gentlemen. These days are ours forever. The choices we make in the next few years will determine the future for decades, hundreds of years for this country. These next few years, the decisions we make will either be the rise or fall of the United States of America. And it's a shame that it only took less than 300 years and the Roman Empire lasted almost 2,000. I have faith in the American people. I see it around the country. I see it on the news. I see it in the articles I read. I see it out on the streets when I talk to people. I see people are waking up. The American people are going to do the right thing, and they know exactly what they need to do. And so just so long as our democracy has not already been destroyed, then we will get this country back in 2024. I am sure of it. The American people have had enough of this. Enough. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, if you got any questions, I'm gonna leave these articles. I'm definitely gonna leave the Project 2025 article from the Washington Examiner in my podcast description. You guys go ahead, take a look at that, read it. It is awesome, and let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you think it's a good idea, bad idea. The Associated Press apparently thinks it's a bad idea that we fire 50,000 bureaucrats in our federal government. I don't know why. Like I said, they worship government. But let me know what you think. Send me an email, StephenTaurielloShow@gmail.com. Also, if you got anything you want me to read, you got any interesting articles you want me to take a look at, send those over to me. Or if you just want to shoot the breeze, send me an email. I will respond. Also, if you could, make sure you share the show with your friends and family. We are getting an uptick on Facebook and stuff and Instagram. I'm trying to promote the show more on Facebook. Facebook's a little bit harder. They're a little bit more strict on the content that they'll allow, and they have to approve the content before it uploads and all that stuff. So, but I want to start focusing on Facebook, so you will start to see the show more on Facebook, on Instagram, because we got TikTok on lock, and I think TikTok is great for short little 1-minute clips to maybe anybody that's browsing through. That's what I use TikTok for, but I want to be able to get the show out there on Facebook because I feel like there's a lot of people in the audience that I'm missing. A lot of potential listeners out there that I feel like we're missing, and we want as many people as possible to listen in to this show so they are informed. An informed citizenry is vital to a functioning government, so where the governed have oversight of the government. So then that's exactly what we need to do, and the only way to do that is by informing the citizenry and sharing the show. And whoever you share it to, tell them to follow the show too. It helps. It helps beat the algorithm, and that's the goal. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning in. I want you guys to have a good day, have a great week. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.